Okay, if you are good with the test scenarios and test cases, we'll move to the further phases now on the STLC. Okay. So STLC so far, if you remember, we covered the requirement analysis. Okay. And then we covered the test planning. Then we covered the test design. Right. Now I'm coming to the test execution, where I'm going to just talk about the type of the testing first of all. Okay, so that you won't get confused what kind of testing you have to do and when you have to do. Okay. First of all, if you remember that whenever we had discussion on the V model, if you remember that there were two things there. One was the verification, okay, and then second one was the validation. The verification, we call this as a static testing also. Why? Because you are actually not performing any of the activity on your application, but you just have the document. You review it, and then if you have any issues there, any ambiguities there, you report that to the technical team or to the system analyst and get that fixed. Like there is nothing you are going to the URL or going to the application or providing or not actively working on the application, you can say. So it will be a static testing. We call it a static testing. Okay. And then whenever we are doing the actual testing, we call it a dynamic testing. Okay. Just remember that you need to know some of the terminologies. The testing of whatever testing you are doing, that will remain same if you are responsible for that. Either it will be a verification or the validation. Like either it will be you are going to review the document, that will be static testing, or you are going to actually do the validation of the application, that will be dynamic testing. Now under this also there are a lot many stuff that you need to understand. At least you need to remember many of the terminologies and then understand who is going to do, when we are going to perform it, and then what we are going to do. Okay, so I'm coming to the two more here. When we say the white box, okay, or when we say black box or the gray box. Please go on mute if you are not talking. Okay. This will go with the name also. If you just see the name, the white box. White box means it is kind of, you can just assume that it is transparent. Transparent means, so suppose if you are using any of the application, okay, you don't know what is there inside the application. It means that is fully out, or you can say black box for you. You are just using as a user, but how it is built inside, you are not sure about that. In that case, white box will be where you are able to see that inside the application also. You can say it will be a kind of code review. You can see the code inside, how it is built, and then you are doing the code review or kind of unit testing also, you can say. Okay. I will come back to the unit testing again. Just remember here, it is a code review, and then code review is also called as a unit testing. Okay. Then black box will be where you are actually not going inside, but checking it on the very top, using that as a user. That is called as a black box. And you can say, if I talk about the functional testing, that is the black box. That is, you would be responsible to do it. This white box, who is going to do it? Actually, the dev is going to do it, because he only knows about the code inside the application. And the function testing, it will be QA, because you don't know what is inside, but based on the functionality you are going to test it. Okay, so, and always remember that this will also come under either these two categories. So it will be a dynamic testing also. Function testing is the dynamic testing. The gray testing, it is something you can say mix, where you have to do the black box as well as white box. It will be mixed. So why we call as a gray box? It's not as well as not complete black box or complete white box. Actually, some portion of the white box and some portion of the black box, you can say. Like some of the things you have to test where you are not provided the code, but some of the stuff you can say you know the code and then you need to review the code also sometime. That will be a mix. Most of the time what we are going to do, that is black box only. That's very common, and that's part of the function testing. Okay, that's just for the to remember what is a gray box. Just remember that it is mix of the white box and then black box. So now you got the three categories here based on either you know the code or you don't know the code. Here either you are going to perform the actual testing or not the actual testing. Now I'm coming to some more testing. This unit testing. Okay, unit testing is actually a code testing. As I mentioned that it will be done by the development team. Okay, so once the coding is done, you are not going to get the application available for you to do the testing. So suppose if I am doing the code test recording, what I'm going to do, I'm going to review my own code. Even I'm going to see some of the functionality of the application, whether it is working fine or not. I will not just throw that application to you and then you will find a lot of bugs as a QA. So that's not going to happen. There would be certain test cases the development team is going to perform and do the unit testing. And after that, it will come to you. Okay. So now remember that the system testing. Okay. As I had mentioned before, the system testing will be actually the functional plus non-functional. Okay. So system testing, whenever someone is saying what is the system testing, you have to tell them the system testing is actually a functional testing as well as the non-functional testing. Functional testing means the QA stuff, whatever the functionality you are going to test, and non-functional is, it is not the negative of the functional, it is something other than the functional, you can say. That is, you can say we have the performance. Okay, that when I will come to here, functional so functional testing, you know that whatever we are going to do as a the functional QA, whatever the requirement you are going to get on the what document you're going to refer on the FRD, whatever there on the FRD, you're going to do the functional QA. Non-functional will be for example, it is performance testing. Okay, the load testing, volume testing, like that. Okay, any confusion so far? Any question on these categories and then type of the testing? Okay, so now
a question. So white is static and black box is dynamic, right?
No, both the white box and then black box will be dynamic only.
Okay.
Why? Because even the white box testing, the code review, the development team is going to do some activity even before handing over the application to you. He is even going to do some of the testing for himself, so that he just need to see, like suppose you have a lot many pages on the application, he will just see the pages, some of the functionality random testing he will do to ensure that his code is good inside. And even he will check the code also part by part and see if for the particular code section the functionality is correct, like that.
So dynamic is the real testing.
Yeah, the verification or the static testing will be only on the document review.
Okay.
There's nothing. Okay, so it will be document review, nothing else. Based on the two documents like FRD, BRD, you need to find the gap also, but everything will be where you have to do the analysis, review the document, okay, see the gaps and everything. That will be all static testing. Okay. Okay. So if you understand this system, functional, non-functional, everything. Okay. Now I'm coming back to the another testing. Thus, integration testing. Now let's see what is that. So suppose any of the application, you are going to have the many modules. So within the application, there will be some sub functionalities. Okay, you can say like the Gmail, you have the inbox or whatever the small pieces, individual body or individual functionality, that is called as a module. Okay, module. So suppose there is one module and thus interacting with some other module, like suppose module 2. You click on the compose. Okay, whenever you are trying to put the email ID to 2 and then BCC and CC, sometimes you will say, like, whenever you are typing, actually you are already getting the email ID from your contacts. Means the compose page is actually integrated with the contact list. That's why it is displaying your contact there. Okay, so whenever you are composing it, whenever you are writing it, whenever you send it, it is going to your send, or if you are saving it, it is going to the draft. Means all the modules are actually connected. There is nothing like, on the Gmail, if you say those are not connected, some of the part will be based on the functionality wise, everything is connected, you can say. So might be the data from that module 1, it is going to the module 2. From the module 2, it is going to the module 3. Okay, so the integration between that, if you say the input from the module 1 is going, the output from the module 1, whatever here, suppose if it is going to the module 2, and then there are some functionalities, and then it is going to the module 3. This kind of integration, if you are checking into different module, it is actually called as an integration testing. Even while doing some of the functionality on your Gmail, when you try to send this, or whenever like you check on the draft or the sent item, those actually you did the integration testing also. That is functional testing, but to check the two modules communicating with each other, that is called the integration testing also. Okay.
Ahmed, I have one question here.
Yeah.
That's integration testing is only the application modules when these modules interact with each other, or the application, like if one application is interacting with other application, it is also called integration testing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Even one application, one system, it is interacting with other system, that is also called the integration testing. Sometimes what is going to happen, your overall application also, that will be getting feed from somewhere. Some other application actually, they will be entering the information, and then that is coming to your system also. Okay. Thus also, if you are checking that integration between the two applications, that is also integration testing. Okay. So any of the communication between the application, between the system, between the module, it is called as the integration testing. Okay.
Like,
and then
between two applications too, right?
Between two applications. If it is like, you can say between the two systems, most of the time when we have the multiple systems involved there, we call as a SIT, that is system integration testing. And this is very common in the software industry, where actually if you are working on any of the application and that is getting communicated with your downstream and then the upstream, in that case you are going to do the actually the system testing also, like that is functional testing as well as your system integration testing also.
So what is downstream and upstream?
Downstream, from where you are getting the data.
Okay.
Okay, and from where it is going after you process. Suppose if you are using like any of the application, like suppose if it is a banking application, okay, you are doing some transaction, okay, so that will also fetching some of the data for you. There will be some other system like your contact information. There will be some other application actually, they will be storing it like a kind of master data application like that. Okay, so whenever you are doing it, sometime even if you see, if you are trying to send the money to someone and they are actually you are sending on the mobile phone, sometime it will happen in if you have a Bank of America application, that is actually sometimes taking your contact details even. You can send the money to someone just adding your contact itself, that is on your phone, sitting on some other application, not on the banking application. Okay, you are taking that information and sending the money. That is also, if you are doing it, it is something integration. Okay, once you do it, there will be actually transaction you do, but your data will be going to a lot many other applications to do the analysis for the other purpose. Your balance will be updated and everything. Okay, so everything is integrated. And then if you are just doing the functional inside but not processing anything there, just checking inside, then it is functional. But if you are taking some data and then processing it, completing one of the flow, and then after the processing actually the data is going to some other application, and that is called as the integration testing.
Now can you please repeat that upstream application? What is that?
Upstream is from after you process, where it is going.
Okay.
Yeah. And from where you are getting, that is downstream. But for now, you need not to remember it, but because we'll come back to that level again, where we will discuss how it is getting communicated. Whenever if you are talking about the ETL testing and all, how it will be loaded and everything like that. Okay, just for now, just remember that the integration is something, either the two module, two application, or two system. If it is getting integrated, in the sense the communication is getting happen, that is system integration testing or the integration testing.
So this scenario come like upstream or downstream when you work on any middleware, like middleware application?
No, not middleware application. Each and every system will be getting data from somewhere and then loading to the after the processing it will be going to the somewhere.
Okay.
So the downstream will be, you can say, focusing on the customer. Like suppose if you are calling the Bank of America and then saying actually I have to update my phone number or any of the information. Okay, they will just fetch your information and they will be using actually the CRM application. They will update that information there. So what they are going to do, they will update it and submit it. Okay, the output from their system, it will go to your banking application actually, where you are actually doing your transactions and all. After some time, there will be one job running between the application actually. After some time, if you log into your application on the banking application, and if you go, you would be able to see that your address got updated after some time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So the unit testing and then integration testing. Okay. There's one more testing, that is smoke testing. So these things, whatever I'm talking, those are, I'm just covering the very important one. You need to remember it. Okay. By heart it, whatever way you are just thinking, just have the clear understanding on each and every testing I'm saying. Those are something you can say it's very common, getting asked with in the interview, you can say. So the smoke testing is something. So suppose the development team, they coded and they did the unit testing, okay, and then they provided the code to you. So first of all, suppose Gmail is new, okay, and they said, okay, can you do the smoke testing? I just deployed it. So are you going to do all the functional testing again from the scratch and then complete it? But before even going to that, you need to see that whether the application itself is stable or not, or it is testable or not. What that means? URL is working or not. Okay. So you just open the URL and then see that, oh, nothing is broken on the login page actually. And then if you just provide your credentials and click on the login button even working, and then went inside to the Gmail just to see oh, now next day or after that I can say the application, I can test this application now. Whatever the test cases I have, I can execute all. Means I tested the application to check whether the application is testable or not. That is called the smoke testing. Fine.
So what is the difference between smoke testing and static testing?
No, so each and every activity you are performing some action here. Verification is it is just a document review. You are not doing on the document. The code is ready for the QA to test it. You can go and test it. Actually, before doing it, you are just going to see whether the application is stable or not. It is testable or not. Sometimes it will happen is they will say just test it. They deployed it, but whenever you go to the Gmail or your application, whatever they provide you, the home page itself is not stable. You are trying to enter your user ID. That is actually the text box itself is disabled, or you're not able to perform anything on that application. Just to ensure that
to check the main functionalities before you start the real testing.
Correct. The major functionality, that just to see, suppose if you're just logging to the Gmail, now you can say, oh, now I can go ahead and I can see inbox is there, sent is there, and draft is there. Even you did not test it, but you are just going to have a look that application is available for you to start the testing.
So the static testing is be done on a document review level, right?
Yeah, this is just the document review, nothing dynamic. This is dynamic.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So that is smoke testing. Okay. Now, suppose you did functional testing and found defect. Okay. Now, what is going to happen? You're going to log the defect, and then there will be a code fix by dev. Okay. Now they will say, okay, I actually fixed this code. Now you have to test it again. What we are going to call this to? Let me put the terminology here. So in that case, actually, this is called as a retesting. Okay. So whenever you have one defect that you found, okay, and then it got fixed by the development team, and if they are saying they even deployed the code again to the QA team, QA environment, you can say, can you retest it? Can you test it again so that you can just close the defect? The testing you are going to perform, actually this is again a functional testing. This is again a dynamic testing, okay? But still you are going to call as a retesting of the particular defect. Any confusion here? Okay. If you remember this, I'm coming to the two terminology that you need to see very carefully. Okay. Test cycle and then test regression. We just need to see when we can say we are performing the test cycle and when we can say we are performing actually doing the regression testing. Just have a look very carefully. No, it is dynamic. Everything is dynamic. Just to understand, everything, whatever the actual testing you are going to perform, everything is dynamic. Everything. Okay. Just reviewing the document initially when you review the FRD and BRD, that is even a part of your requirement analysis phase. After that, whatever activity you are going to perform, whatever testing you are going to do, all the testings are like, dynamic testing. Okay. Okay. Just see these two, test cycle and then test regression. So suppose what you are going to do like, you are going to perform the functional testing and you have 100 test cases. Just see it carefully. Okay. And then you executed it. The result you got, it is actually 90 pass, suppose, but 10 failed. Okay. What you are going to do next, actually, the next step will be retesting of 10 failed test cases. Okay. So suppose you just tested the 10, whatever was failed. You are not sure this 90 was passed, okay, whether it got broken when I retested it. Sometime it will happen is like, you are testing something, like they are fixing something, some functionality, and they will break some other functionality like that. Okay. So what you are going to do, you are going to perform the test cycle, and if you see this test cycle, in this case you are not sure the previous 90 is working fine or not, but still you are sure that the 10 is the fail you tested and you passed it. Okay, but still there is uncertainty on, like, you are not sure about the 90 test cases you passed. That case, it will be a test cycle. So suppose you perform the test cycle, it was 90 passed and 10 failed. After you saw that this time actually 90 passed, 95 passed, okay, and then 5 got failed. Okay, for 5 again you are going to retest. Okay, what you are going to do, it is going to do the retesting of 5 defects or the failed test cases. Okay, in that case also you are not sure whether this 95 is passed or you are sure about is nothing is broken. You are not sure about that. Okay, suppose you are performing the cycle 2 again, and this time actually you found that 100 passed. Okay. Now after this, if you are performing one fresh run, that is called the regression testing. Okay. Whenever you are sure that, oh, you retested this one, and 95 also you retested, and now everything is actually passed, but you have to run a fresh execution once everything is closed. In this case, what will happen? Your test cycle is closed. There is no open defect. You are going to run a fresh execution. That is called the regression testing.
So this fresh execution will be for the all 100 test cases, or only some selected one?
100 test cases.
Like for in some of the companies, when there is a big application, there are like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 test cases. So all these test cases will be
correct.
The
regression testing will be 100% test case. Yeah, fresh run of all the test cases. Okay.
Okay.
That is, if you say that is sometimes not ideal, they are doing regression testing means like a fresh run of the whole test cases again. Even before that, even you retested the defect. Even the previous test cases also you did as a part of the test cycle, but now you have to run a fresh execution. That is called the regression testing. In case, so suppose after the regression testing, they said they change something, okay, or they just change like kind of integration between the application, something like that, and they are asking you to check the major functionality out of that, not the 100%. If you are doing the 100% of the test cases again, that will be called the regression testing again. Okay, but in case if you are not performing the 100 test cases, or you are just testing the you can say main functionality of the application, that will be called as the, please go on mute.
Okay. So when are you asking about the 100 cases? Well, what can you give us an example, like for applications or cases, or what are we doing?
So the test cases will, like suppose Gmail you are going to write 1,000 of the test cases or 100 of the test cases. I am saying once you found any issues, if you retest only the issues, that will be retesting for you. Okay, and apart from that, if you are testing the other functionality also, just to check, combining of that, it will be test cycle. After the test cycle, if you are running a fresh test execution for all your test cases, the example of the test cases will come later. Even I explained that before. Even after the test cases, I started this testing. Okay, so test cases I am talking about is the all test cases. What you wrote, you just wrote the sum of the test cases for the Gmail. Just assume that all the test cases for the Gmail, if you are going to run once again the full functionality out of that, that will be called as a regression testing. You can say 100 test cases in case this was 100 test cases or 100% test cases. But in case of if you are doing only the subset of the regression testing, that will be sanity testing. You can say this is subset of regression testing.
Or it depends on the severity of the defect. Like if it's what's the severity of the defect?
Whatever it is, you just close it. Okay. Nothing is pending now.
Okay.
Yeah. Regression testing and sanity testing will be done after the defect, all the defect closed. In case of you are doing the defect retesting also, and then other functionality also, if you are testing, that will be called as a test cycle, not the test regression or regression testing.
Brother, just a quick confirmation because I didn't hear you. You said if we finish the regression testing, it's 100% test case, and it's good. If we are 100% that's right, we stop here, and if it's not, then we run the sanity testing.
No, I'm saying you have to run the 100% test cases. If you are doing it, that will be called as a regression testing, where you have to perform all the testing again, whatever the number of test cases you have, nothing missed. Okay, but sometimes if you have a time crunch, or your manager is asking you to not to execute all the test cases, but very high level, there will be some cosmetic test cases also on the Gmail. Suppose if in the Gmail there will be like the term, the privacy, there will be other like minor stuff, the cosmetic stuff and everything. You will have all the test cases together. Now that your manager is saying, just like do the login, go to the inbox, and very like the you can say major functionality of the Gmail. If you're testing it, that will be called the sanity testing, but not the regression testing. Regression testing will cover everything altogether. The 100% test cases you're going to perform as a part of the regression testing.
So Ahmed, what will be happen like if we find a defect in a regression cycle?
Regression cycle, if you are going to get it, might be they will ask you to run one more regression suite. But that's all. There will be less chances during the regression testing. That's how they will have like multiple test cycle there. If there are chances, anything is broken, that will broke. But to ensure that really everything is good, and then like there is nothing like we don't have any doubt on that, they will just run a fresh test execution again. Yeah, there are chances that even the regression testing also you will find defect, but the same process will go again where they will fix it and then deploy it again. You have to run the regression suite again. And why it will happen? Why it will happen? Okay, 100% test cases will be sometime if you have the multiple test data. Okay, then it will be multiplied with your you can say kind of test cases. If you have to execute the functionality, okay, for the 6 different test data, in that case you are going to execute actually 600 test cases now as a part of the regression. And that's why this regression testing, where actually you have the same test cases but going to execute multiple times, this will be suitable for the automation testing. Okay, so now you can say, even if you are going to automate the application, first of all you have to do all your function testing manually. Nobody can automate it on the day one. Actually you have to execute it, and then later if you are trying to execute the same test cases again and again, they will create a regression suite, and that they will try to automate it so that anything is broken there, or like later anything is changed in the application in downstream or the upstream, they just need to check for the particular data, just to check the functionalities again. They will run that regression suite. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, if you remember all this, if you don't have the doubt, then might be I will move further. Okay, and I will provide you some more information on some other testing. Okay, there is one more, that is ad hoc testing. Okay, so if the application is new and your manager is asking you to only execute the subset of the regression test cases, okay, just to ensure that everything is good, and then don't go to the cosmetic test cases and very small test cases and all, then you are good initially. There are chances multiple times that you are very much familiar about the application, like Gmail. Okay, in that case you are actually not referring any of the test cases, not the regression, not the sanity or not smoking, nothing is you are referring, but you are just going to the Gmail, just going inside, clicking on the inbox, checking the sent, checking the draft and everything, just doing without, you can say, test cases. Okay, and what is needed? Expertise needed. If you are expert on the application, if you are going to the application doing the random testing without any test cases, because you are expert, you already know all the functionality within the application, that testing will be called as the ad hoc testing.
So in what scenario this ad hoc testing can be needed?
Many times it will, even I did it, you can say there are chances that they change something in the something on your application, okay, and they ask you to retest it just to check that everything is good there, whatever they added, you can say, rather than going for the regression. They did not have much time. They said, like, because you already working on this application for long back, now can you do just like log testing on this, just do here and there, don't execute any of the test cases, just to check everything is good, nothing is broken.
Okay.
Okay. Now suppose,
Brother, don't we consider this ad hoc testing? It's like the static, like just reviewing, double checking everything?
no, nothing is static now.
No.
Whatever the testing I'm discussing here, everything is dynamic.
But because
I'm
this
not
is
reviewing the document.
so it's just reviewing.
No, still. So if you are going or opening the URL itself, means you came to the dynamic now.
Okay.
If you are opening the document, then you are doing the static. In this case, ad hoc testing, you are not opening the test cases, you are not opening any of the document, okay? You are just going to the application dynamically and then checking the functionality here and there randomly, you can say, because you are expert, you just need to ensure that everything is good and then you're good.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you remember that, like, I think last time we discussed, during the execution time, what is going to happen, once the unit testing is done, you are going to perform all the functional testing. But after that, when your testing is done, what is going to happen? You are, there will be a user acceptance testing. Okay. Sometime it will be QA. Sometimes it will be BA, or you can say business also sometime. And can anybody tell me that this user testing, what document now we are going to refer to write the test cases for the user acceptance testing, and why? So first of all, let me know what documents you have to write the test cases or refer you for the functionality.
FRD, PRD.
Okay. So now in case of the user acceptance testing, we are going to actually refer the BRD. Whatever testing you did so far, okay, you actually referred the FRD because you did the functional testing. Okay. Now the things are getting changed. It is beyond sometime your limit, means you already tested and then you send the code, you can say my testing is done, whatever I had planned, everything is done. Now the code will move to the UAT environment. UAT will be sometime the separate QA, or sometime they will ask you to do it. But now you are going to refer the BRD. It means you are just going to see as as a user. There you had some, here you had some technical test cases also. You had to do the negative, positive and everything. But here overall you have to check business point of view how the system is working. And in that case you are going to refer the BRD. Like suppose if you have an ATM machine, and then it is saying that, okay, the user should be able to withdraw the money from the ATM. What is going to happen? Then in this case, it will be actual kind of environment for you where you are going to use the card and then do the PIN and everything, and then actually going to do withdraw some money now. Okay. So even the user acceptance testing, there are two types there. One is alpha, another is beta. Okay. This case, alpha case, if the QA is involved, okay, it is not a real environment. Okay. In that case, you can say it is alpha. Here, no QA. But actual user. Have you seen any time this beta? Because it is coming to the actual.
It's like a beta version of the application, which like the general user which test the application. That is right.
Yeah. Correct. What is going to happen is the company is going to give you the application as a user, and you are going to test it, or you can say use it, and then you are going to provide the feedback on that. Nowadays, if you are saying like, you know, if someone is giving you the voice message, nowadays if you have an iPhone, you see that whatever the voice message you are getting now, it is getting translated, but most of the time it is incorrect. So still, based on the user feedback, they are enhancing that application. So that if you see, go back to your iPhone again and see any of the voice message and then check the below description, it will tell you the beta. They have mentioned that it is a beta. So beta means it is actually with the user, but based on the user feedback, they are going to enhance it or fix some of the issues there. It is not completely done, but still it is with the user.
So when the QA will do this user acceptance testing, they will use which environment?
UAT environment.
UAT, yeah.
Yeah. After this testing, even I am coming back to the type of the environment also, so that even that time. Okay. So alpha testing will be where the QA is involved. Okay. QA, sometimes the actual user or the business also. It is under control with you. It is not yet moved to the actual user. Okay. That will be the alpha testing. Whenever it went to the actual user, that time it will be called as a beta testing, where the actual user is involved. So far it is good. Anybody has any question of any of the type of the testing? And everything you have to remember, I know you will get confused on the regression testing and then test cycle. I know that you will get confused. But just understand that a fresh execution of the test cases, when all the defects are closed and everything, that time it will be a regression testing. If still something is open, any of the defect is open.
بس هاي ثانيتي أنا ما فهمت بدي أرجع أعمل عليها ريسيرش.
Anybody has any question? I could not hear you.
يعني too much خلاص.
Hello?
Ahmed, I have a question that like the regression testing will be done regardless it is an enhancement in the application or it is a very new build application. It will be happening in both the cases, right?
So enhancement, suppose if enhancements is there, okay, depends on where the enhancement is getting happen. If it is actually happening to your application, okay, then you are not going to perform the regression testing in the first place. You are going to do the functional testing again on the enhancement part. And then once the enhancement part testing is done, then only if you don't have any defect open, then only you can perform the regression testing. Please go on mute if you're not talking. Okay, any more question or we are good now? We are good?
Yes.
Okay. So what I can do is, like, I can provide you this sheet also, and whenever you get time, then go and Google it, okay? And then if you have any question or if you get any of the content that is contradictory, you can say you get confused. Might be what we can do, we can have the discussion again in the next session, so that whatever the confusion you have and whatever you got from the Google, I can explain you what scenario they had, so that they are mentioning that. Some of the stuff I can say mention on the Google, it is not correct. Don't accept each and every content there on the Google, because there are many sites. If you go there, it is very, very bookish sometimes, and sometimes it will confuse you also. Okay. So whatever I am telling to you, it is kind of all based on the real work or the real scenarios. In the ideal case, you can say. Nothing bookish here. So everything is like, how we call in the actual IT industry, all the terminologies I mentioned here. Okay, good then. Okay, then we are going to connect back again on Thursday, and then get ready with all your question on the type of the testing. I have a couple of more that I'm going to discuss, and then we'll move on. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Unmuted.
Thank you.